Good morning, folks. Everything new under the sun. Here's a little update. News articles coming out of the Middle East, and it relates to war. The U.S. Of course, we had the U.S. Implement the tariffs against China, and that was a significant economic event. On top of the tariffs and the stress and the fallout of that is going to roll out over the next couple of days and weeks. On top of that, you have apparently the U.S. really winding up for a war against Iran, and there's accusations of false flags by Israel even to trigger the U.S. to go against Iran. Of course, we have the deployment of aircraft carriers, B-52 bombers. We have tanks in Qatar, effectively on the border with Iraq, and it's just a short distance to the border of Iran. So you have all these things lining up. And this is an article from debgafile.com. U.S. is ready to go for Iran's guards bases if Iraqi Shiite proxies attack Al-Tanf garrison. So you have U.S. You thought they were going to decrease activity in the Middle East. In fact, they've increased it significantly, and they're going after Iran in a stronger fashion, really cooperating and pushing forward with Israel at this point in time. And of course, we know there's a conspicuous absence of Western nations in end-time Bible prophecy, and probably the biggest one is the United States. So what happens to them? They seem to be very strong on Israel's side right now, but they're not mentioned in Bible prophecy. So that's a question you got to ask. What caused 1929? What caused it was trade tariffs. Trade tariffs came in. And a couple months after the tariffs came in, that triggered 1929 as investors got spooked and started pulling out of the stock markets. U.S.-Iranian tensions this week were ramped up by intelligence of a plot for Iran's Iraqi proxies to attack American Al-Tanf garrison, it says. Debkafile's military sources and intelligence sources are reporting this exclusively reveal that Tehran's master plotter, head of the Iraqi Kataib Hezbollah militia, and he is collaborating with a fellow proxy, the Asab-ibn al-Haq. The intelligence which reached the head of U.S. CENTCOM galvanized Washington into action. So that's pushing them into action. They think something's coming. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo hurried to Baghdad May 7th. So they think it's critical. All of the war machines are ramped up. They are sending Patriot missile batteries to the Middle East. And I reported on a story the other day, Thursday, that Iran was moving missiles by road. That was incorrect. They're moving them by ships, and Commenter corrected that, and thank you for correcting that. Indeed, they are moving missiles by ships to the Persian Gulf. And the question is, will they be launched by ships? By ground-based stations, etc. Regardless, Iran appears to be moving missiles into position because the Persian Gulf is going to hit Western nations the hardest, because that's the pinch point for, I think, 10% of the world's oil ships go through the Persian Gulf. And that specific pinch point there on the border of Iran. So Iran's building up military, apparently for a battle. It says, on Thursday, USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group sailed into the Red Sea, and on Thursday, the Pentagon announced the redeployment of Patriot anti-missile batteries to the Middle East. So they have all the weapons. I don't know what they're missing at this point. I don't think they're missing any sort of weaponry. They've got missiles, they've got ships, they've got tanks, aircraft carriers, fighter aircraft, B-52 bombers, F-35 stealth jets. In the Middle East, and this is all a significant, huge buildup for what appears to be the buildup for a strike. Here's the trade tariffs. Trump pulls the trigger, begins process of raising tariffs on all remaining 300 billion China imports. Remember, what caused 1929? Trade tariffs. And so we have tariffs on all imported goods from China. $300 billion worth of this. We have no idea what the Chinese retaliation. Well, they retaliated a little bit on specific things like soy products, etc. But again, this is what triggered 1929. So is Trump implementing this going to trigger 1929? President of the United States increased the level of tariffs from 10% to 25% on all on approximately $200 billion worth of Chinese imports. The president also ordered us to begin the process of raising tariffs on essentially all remaining imports, which are valued at $300 billion. If you don't think this is going to have a huge impact on the economy, you'd be kidding yourself. Where do most products from Amazon, etc., come from? Most products are produced in China these days. Most of them come from China. You slap tariffs on them, it's going to be a massive hit to the economy and the world economy, because the U.S. Does a huge amount of trade with China. So if China starts getting hurt in the wallet, they're going to strike back. And they would have the ability to shake the confidence in the U.S. dollar on the world stage. China would have the ability to shake that if they started selling off their U.S. treasuries. If they dumped them on the markets, that would decrease the value of the U.S. dollar, and that would really trigger a worldwide economic collapse. Some stories coming out of, this is the millenniumreport.com. I don't know how much I believe this, but the headline is, Insider says Israel posed to stage a false flag against U.S. targets to start war with Iran. Interesting. And it speaks about, a potential false flag there by Israel. And who knows if this is true or not. I have my reservations about this article, but it's an article nonetheless. Is there going to be a staged false flag? And it certainly looks like U.S. is ready to go to battle. Certainly looks like Iran is ready to go to battle. They have their military forces in place, and they're moving missiles into place. So what could trigger this? Here's another one. This is from news.antiwar.com. U.S. officials continue to falsely accuse Iran of planned attack. So it's been in the news for a while that the U.S. Has said that Iran has planned an attack against its assets in the Middle East, and that is kind of the whole basis of the significant buildup. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo once warned Iran not to attack, a warning that seems particularly nonsensical, the article says, following reports where intelligence confirmed that claims of Iranian plot were heavily exaggerated to justify anti-Iran measures. Remember, the website's called news.antiwar.com, so they're going to post everything that, against reasons why the U.S. should not go to war. But in terms of the buildup itself, it looks like there's a huge buildup. And that's really indicated by some of these other websites, intelligence websites that seem to be following this, that are following this stuff. And so there's all sorts of news and a significant buildup in chatter, in articles related to this. B-52s land in Qatar, American B-52s, weapons of war, planes of war, etc. are all landing there. And let's see, Trump urges Iran to talk over a nuclear program. There's been a 60-day respite that Iran has given the rest of the world, basically Europe, etc., to rethink the sanctions. And basically at the end of that 60 days, if Europe doesn't do anything, they're going to start enriching uranium to a high state. But it goes on here, like all sorts of news articles. This is from AbbasWatchman.com. All sorts of stuff about a buildup of military, potential war in the Middle East. So it seems like we have a buildup. There's a lot of rhetoric. There's a lot of chatter going on related to this. And on top of this, we have the U.S. fighting with the other biggest economic country in the world, slapping tariffs on all the imports from China. So you put these two things together, and what I see is economic collapse. I see the U.S. quickly taken out of a position of power, and Israel left alone, and that's why other countries then would jump at it and say, okay, the U.S. has been taken out by the world economic collapse. Now we can jump on Israel because they have no one backing them at this point. And that's when Ezekiel 38, Gog-Magog happens, and Isaiah 17, where Israel's pushed into a corner and takes out Damascus. That's what is on the horizon. And we have no lack of rhetoric and chatter suggesting that there's going to be that effectively war is imminent. I mean, I don't know what else you'd call it. That's not fear porn or something like that. That is stating the information on the ground that there's significant military buildup, and we have huge economic tensions with China, and so that could be coming soon. So this is something that we are watching. This is something that could be occurring this summer, and I think it will. So I'll keep watching it, and we'll see what the Bible has to say about it as it kind of rolls out. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll leave it for today, kind of a news wrap-up of the events. The beating of the war drums is getting significantly louder, and not only that, the economic war drums are also getting louder, and shots are being fired, if you will, across the bow from the United States. Now we're looking for what China's full retaliation is going to be in response to the $300 billion worth of tariffs on Chinese imports, and it's going to be significant. And we could be so close to a worldwide economic collapse. We don't know, but it sounds like this was the trigger point of 1929, and this could very well be the trigger point of a worldwide economic collapse, which catapults us into end time Bible prophecy so quickly the heads of most will be spinning. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll leave it there, and we'll see you guys in the next video.